And that's really going to be our intention. Hashem, please, our intention, our prayer tonight is that we can just connect and align with our highest self, with our neshama, with our ruach. So we're just calling in all of the guides and all of the angelic helpers, just waiting to join us here on the rooftop. Specifically, we call in and honor the neshama of Rav Kook, the poet of our people, really, who touched that place where poetry meets prophecy in our modern era in a way that is just guiding for us all, and that we're all so in need of, and also baffled by reality, and just prayerful for something higher to come in and give us a higher perspective. So please, God Hashem, tonight, give us some higher love. And I'll open with the words. I know that I shared this previously in our class, but I'm going to bring them back again because it just needs to be repeated. The words from Rav Kook on a commentary on Parshat Balak, which is our Parsha, and the incredible power of this week's energy. You know, my son tomorrow he's on the national Israeli running team. He's going to Slovakia tomorrow to race in Europe, and with 21 different countries represented, and has his Israeli flag on his shirt, and he has the uniform, and he's representing our people tomorrow. And it's, it's a little stressful and wonderful. Hi, welcome.
Ooh, now you're in trouble.
Now we're in trouble, yeah. How about this? We're going to reshuffle. We're going to bring that pink table and we're going to stick it there. Right.
You're only going to get this. We have
You want to stick it that way?
Chaya. Yeah.
Okay. We need to just pull it up. We'll just take two more.
Let's make
3 chairs. No, it's okay. We'll just do a big square. We'll do a big square. I'm sorry. We're just going to put the white table up against the pink table. That gains us 2 spots, and we'll take them.
But
a little bit,
but
more
people
people. I know, but that's okay. They can switch. I think so, because it's longer. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. There's my favorite therapy move that I do is I make the best choices I can in any given moment, knowing that they might be wrong. Okay. So, and that's okay. Thank you. It's great. So, yay. So maybe if you could scoot in one, so in case somebody else comes, that'd be great. Brilliant. Perfection. So my son who's going to the European Championships tomorrow in Slovakia representing Israel, and we've all been, incredibly inspired and a little bit nervous about he's 7, he just turned 17, he's running. He's a runner on the national Israeli team and represent. And it's exciting, right? But we're a little nervous. Mostly excited. But he said today to me, Ima, I just realized it's Parshat Balak. And Parshat Balak is all about the transformation of hateful nations wanting to curse us into blessing. And that alchemy is available to us right now. The alchemy that we so desperately need, where the world is trying to curse us right now. Our enemies are trying to curse us, but we need to somehow and God really needs to somehow, and we're going to help God, and God needs to help us to have that alchemy power to transform the curse into the blessing. And that we have, and we are here to right now as writers, and the ability to use words to generate blessing and to generate positive narratives and preferred narratives and healing narratives and elevated narratives is the promise of the pen. When we open to the promise of the pen, that is what we have access to, is the changing of the narratives. That's a responsibility. It's a wonder, and it's a gift.
And it works.
And it works. And we desperately need it. So that's the energy that we're swimming in right now, is the Balak stepping up. He brings in the prophet Bilam to curse, and instead blessings come through, and those blessings then become the foundations of our prayer every morning. Ma tovu, oh halechash, Adon Ma Yaakov, Mishkanetecha, Yisrael. And so beautiful. So, of course, Rav Kook is going to work with all that so beautifully. So, Rav Kook, I'm going to share with you two pieces from Parshat Balak that Rav Kook takes and expands upon. Part of that blessing that we get from Bilam. The nation will rise up like the king of beasts and will lift itself like a lion. So Rav Kook was in London in 1917. This was just around the time of the Balfour Declaration. And although every time I hear Balfour, you know what I think of? Think of that in Hebrew. Oh, no. Balfour. Baal Peor, right? Ooh, ouch. So I don't know, but
could it be he was a tikkun for them?
Right, maybe, yeah, I like that. It was a tikkun for the particular type of avodah zarah called Baal Peor. So it's around that time that Rav Kook is writing, and Rav Kook writes so prophetically. Our nation will be built and established. It will return to its strength, to all its foundations of life through its faithfulness and reverence. Israel's exalted godly sanctification will expand, become courageous, perfect, and grow strong. All the builders of our nation will come to the deep truth of this principle. And then with the voice full of strength and might, they will call to themselves and their nation, let us go forth and return to Hashem. And this will be a true return. The return will create a foundation of strength, and it will give power and might to all its physical and spiritual branches, to all the activities and paths that are necessary to build and perfect the nation, to awaken it, to renewal, to support its establishment. Eyes will open, the soul will be purified, its light will shine, and its reach will grow. A created nation will awaken. A created nation will awaken. A created nation will awaken, a great nation, powerful and abounding. The light of Elohim is upon it. It will rise like the king of beasts and will lift itself like a lion. We are that created nation. We are the prophecy come true. We are the embodied prophetic words of our ancestors over the ages. That is us. That is us. And I could just say this I kind of do try to say it every morning to myself, but yet mundane realities happen, and we move back into a place of like, oh, the laundry, but wow, this is the laundry of the created nation that rises like a lion. Wow. So sometimes I get stuck in like traffic here in Jerusalem, and I'll get annoyed and fetchy, and then I'll be like, wait a second. My soul has waited 2,000 years to be stuck in the traffic jams of a repopulated Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh. And I'm just like, bring on the traffic. Bring on the traffic. Bring on the bureaucratic lines and the taxes. Oh my God, we get to pay taxes to the created nation? Wow, lucky us. We are the ones who are creating the nation with our taxes. We're creating the nation with spending money at the grocery. We're creating the nation by building our beautiful homes here and planting flowers like Rivka did so incredibly. Let's give it up to Rivka. Thank you, Rivka, for hosting us, for being co-creators with this created nation. That's what we're doing. It's mind-blowing. Poo, poo, poo. Thank you, Hashem. Here's the next one. And we're going to get to writing, I promise. But like, writing happens best in an environment of inspiration. And inspiration happens in all sorts of ways. But right now we're stirring up that inspiration, hopefully, as we're just swimming in these words from Rav Kook and these ideas that are our bread and butter. So the next piece for the Bilam says, oh, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael. How good are your tents, your tabernacles, Israel. So in 1915, Rav Kook's in Switzerland, and he says, the glow of the world will be fully revealed through the strength of Israel. The glow of the whole world will be fully revealed through the strength of Israel as it rises and sprouts. The hidden secret will become clear to all the nations and kingdoms, that the world's future depends on the revival of the community of Israel. The world's future depends upon the revival of the community of Israel. Please hear this in Berkeley and in New York and in Paris. The world, let's just go over that again. The world's future depends on the revival of the community of Israel. Its revival, natural and miraculous, spiritual and material, ethical and practical, internal and external. And then he quotes Isaiah, it'll be a glorious crown in the hand of Hashem, a royal diadem in the palm of the God of Israel. Right. So, of course, the prophets always bring in metaphor. They're so poetic. They bring in these metaphors because these are concepts that we're trying to understand and anchor into. Right. It is up to us to understand what this concept is of what Israel is. So how do we do that? So our prophets give us metaphors and similes and symbols for understanding this thing that we need desperately and so crucially to grok. We need to be able to understand the enormity and the majesty of this created nation in order for us to be the part of the co-creators with it. So here's some of the imagery, and we know this from dreaming. So I'm a dreamer, and the way that dreams work is that our soul has 5 levels, and the top 4 levels of our soul every night go up and receive information from on high, from angels, and from God, and hopefully not from other forces. And then in the morning, if all goes well, we are able to bring that information down the rungs of our neshama's levels and into our nefesh, in connection with our nefesh in our body, and give over to our body down here and our nefesh level down here all the magnificent things we learned all night and all the spiritually elevated concepts. So that's why dreams work in symbolism. That is the language of the soul. Symbolism is the language of the soul. How do we know that? Well, because that's how we dream, and that's how we write poetry, and that's how the prophets speak. Because these are concepts that are spiritual. They're spiritually elevated concepts that we cannot understand so well with our material minds and our physical brains. So there's certain ways to translate spiritual, lofty concepts into physical communicability, and the preferred methods are things like metaphors, symbols. So that's why we work with that in our writing. That's what comes through in our writing. If our souls are connected as we're bringing that inspiration through, right? When we get inspired as writers, that's exactly the same thing. It's like we're dreamers. We are dreamers when we're writing. Hopefully, we are entering into that archetypal cosmic language of how do I express some lofty idea through words. So that's why symbols come out and metaphors.
Can you say something about the faculty of imagination and symbolism?
Right.
As opposed to like.
Right. So the dimyon, so the faculty of, she's asking about the faculty of our imagination.
I'm asking her to comment on the imagination.
Right. That is the seat of where our soul sort of anchors into our bodies, is with dimyon, is with our imaginative faculty. I think Aryeh Kaplan calls it the dream center in inner space. He talks about this exact mechanism. It's like if you imagine a machine, right? That it has its parts and its pieces. So the mechanism that translates all of that spiritual, lofty material into communicable concepts down here is the dream center. Dimyon. Let's say that's the Hebrew word for it. And I'm sure there's sources to this, and I'm sorry that I didn't bring those tonight about, these are certainly things that are talked about within our tradition, and names are given for that exact technical mechanism that does the translating. But that's what we want to access. And, it's painful that poets get so little airtime, because it's like, how much people get paid for writing code, computer code, it's like that's their poetry, mazel tov. But we're really trying to bring down incredibly lofty and important concepts into the material world. And it's a really important endeavor that doesn't get, thank God you're all here, I'm like, oh, nobody's going to come. Who wants to talk about poetry? Like, nobody cares, but we should care, and it's worthy of care. And it's the most important things, especially right now when we're so, beset by challenge and confusion and moral confusion and narrative confusion and lies in the whole world that are winning the day right now, unfortunately. But we know they won't, and it's fine. It just feels like they're winning, but we need to continue. Like, that's why I love the Rav Kook, is he's like, no, this is happening. This is good. And the more that we can just stay in our knowing of that, this is part of the plan. This is part of it. This whole idea of like all eyes on Rafah or whatever. All eyes are on Israel right now, because that's where the world's consciousness is evolving to focus. The whole world is needing to focus on Israel because we are the evolution. We are the evolutionary fruits of humanity, and there's a lot of resistance to it. But somehow that very resistance to our message and our light, and the light of Torah, that resistance is actually part of it coming into the material,
because it's bringing
world.
It out in us. By resisting us, we are resisting it.
Right.
It's
pulling it. We're getting squeezed. It's pulling it out of us. I can't tell you how many incredible poems have come through me since October 7th, because it's just getting squeezed out in a way that it would not have otherwise been. So we are getting squeezed, and that's the part of the plan. And the people who are squeezing us are doing their job. How do you differentiate between the free flow of the journal? Right. I mean, what do you call poetry? Yeah. Right. So oftentimes when I sit down with the journal, poems will come through. Most of the time when I'm sitting down with the journal, I'm just kind of kvetching, like those are my kind of. What calls it a poem? It's such a great question. What calls it a poem? What's the difference between like just journal writing?
Is it the rhythm of it, the flow of it, the succinctness of it?
I know for me, like they say, by the rivers of Babylon, we all sat down and there we wept when we remembered Zion. And one of the comments on that is that they were weeping because they were writing the Talmud Bavli. Because when we write and when we're in a place of channeling and divine, messaging, then we cry. So that's always a good indicator for me is, am I crying as I'm writing this? And if I'm crying when I'm writing it, or as I'm, that's causing me to write it, there's a poem. So the emotional piece, it's the fluid that allows it to flow through, is that emotional, it's current. It's a current, this is an energetic current that these things come through and on.
Also leads out as much as it says. Did you say that? I think the poem also leads out as much as it says, so that it really requires you, the reader, to bring yourself to the poem and find your way between the words, between the lines. And it's not about, I'm going to specify everything now. I'm going to tell you exactly what to think and how to think it.
Right.
No,
Right.
I'm laying out a string of images, or
yes,
and you're going to have to work with that and see what it brings up.
Yes.
Right, like journaling is more like personal and like writing about what is going on now, and poems is more like open to other people and what's around them.
Transpersonal. This is my daughter Mayan, by the way.
Hi.
I think that's very true, but it's just like dreams, right? Dreams aren't, it's not prose. Dreams do not happen in prose most often, right? Dreams are poetic, they're evocative, they're not clear. We usually, it's another very undervalued commodity is our dreams. Who values our dreams? Because they're like, I don't understand that stuff. I do too. Yeah.
No, I've been like a 2-year journey of like recording.
Nice.
It was
Yeah.
very interesting.
Awesome. Yeah. So it's all in the same category, you
What do
know.
you mean by it's poetic? Like
Dreams are poetic. You don't how often do you actually understand what your dream is saying? Or is it sort of like a poetic, like, oh,
It's not a
evocation.
clear thought, a sentence, a thought.
Do I attribute language to after? Like it's mostly images, I would say.
That's what.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by
Yeah.
poetic. But definitely makes it symbolism.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the poems is the rhyme. That's
Oh, if it rhymes. You know, it certainly has been historically, but not just, and less so since, you know, the modern era.
Poem is like journaling, but in like a song.
Kind of in the
it's
song, right? Yeah.
Like on an uplifted level.
Right. Yeah. And it's just says on
Just what you thought it said, and then it's like it's almost a song. It's an uplifted level of giving over.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
What is the same?
Sheer. Sheer.
Sheer is poem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So I want to read something, and these are all really good questions. And I think this is not the sciences. This is the arts, and sciences have clear formulas and definitions, and the arts are by definition without definition. So that's the nature of the soul. That's the nature of these lofty spiritual things, is that they defy definition, right? If you want to try to talk about what God is, well, God is really going to be way too big, really, for us to put it into any basic formulas. It's just too massive, and it's just too manyfold. So sometimes a poem or a symbol can come around and say something in a way that evokes multiple meanings and multiple layers in a way that just a flat out straightforward sentence can't. So that place that Jody was talking about of, you know, it's not clear, allows for multiple interpretations and messages to come through simultaneously, even paradoxical messages. It's so trippy. It's just so trippy. And there's so many examples of it. And I'm just trying to feel my way into what one to share and then I want us to get into our own writing. And we're in a funny place right now because we're in the middle of a war, and on the one hand, I'm so happy to see everybody here, and like I just want to play and have a party. And on the other hand, I'm like, but wait, we are the soldiers, we are the writers, we are the soldiers, we have work to do, and we should do that. So I kind of have intensity around it, and it makes it so that I don't just want to hang out in the party. But this for me is the party, is the intensity and is the power. I'll read this one. And I'm sorry if I've read this in our group before, but okay, but that doesn't matter because it's not, and every time you hear it, it will be different. It was like a song. You don't listen to a song once and say, oh, I've heard that, I don't need to hear it again. So I do want us to touch upon in our writing tonight, I do want us to try to give expression to what it's like, you know, this idea of like what Rav Kook was saying, to be part of this created nation, this creative nation. And that's my agenda, is that we can all take part in creating these narratives, these lofty narratives about who we are and what we're living and what God is living through us in this. And sometimes that comes through talking about the hard stuff too. There is this fathomless deep crease that will not be decreased even by time and 100,000 ceaseless therapies. It's a part of us now, this haunting. And we can only hope to make the most of the least, to make the best of the worst thing that could possibly be. At the very least, I see how we walk sturdy with knowing we are the ones willing to give up everything, to lose life, limb, and children just because we're Yidden. And even if we weren't consciously willing to be the world's archetypal victims, deep down in our souls, it seems we signed an agreement intoned in bones at the dawn of time to be a human sacrifice for a globe full of guilt. And perhaps it isn't just a Christian metaphor, after all, that he died for our sins, that thin as bone Jewish man hanging there, hammered in. That crucifixion is no fiction. It is the black and white facts of Jewish history. It is our mission hidden in plain sight. We will do it again and again as the world seems to demand. Offer ourselves up, death defying and doing just fine. Thank you very much. So bring on your hatred, you misled nations, your very best BDS, BS, your slyest Hamas, your vilest lies and ISIS. Don't surprise us. Hit us with your best shot. And we will hit it out the stadium just like we always have. The only difference is we the home team now. Our dry bones dance on home ground, holy ground, sown with ashes on our countenance. We are the risen ones, resurrected into Israel and her settlements. Yes, even into the world's most protested settlements. A little acknowledgement wouldn't hurt us. But then again, the world's icy silence is just extra credit on the test we aced at Auschwitz. We are here, ready and willing to once again wrestle away the darkness.
Once again,
Wrestle away the darkness.
You didn't read this
I didn't
to
read
us.
that?
No, you didn't.
Okay, good. So do you
Wow.
hear that? Like, you.
She's so precious, isn't she?
All of our poems should just be like F yous to the world right now. So do you hear that? Feel it in that emotion? So that is anger. Maya knows I can do anger when I need to. I have so much anger, and it is so holy. I am so furious, and it is so elevated. And I'm so ashamed of my anger, but I know that it is godly. Every emotion we have is just another faucet opening. Do not close the faucet of anger. It's really helpful, and we need it. So let's take out our pens, and I want to invite you to meet your anger.
So I brought paper and pencils all over so everyone can there's another pack of
And I know this group of women. You guys do not want to meet your anger. I know.
At the table for all of you who are sitting not at the table. Just those at the table make space
Right now.
Just situate your chairs in a way
We're gonna
that
go with anger first.
allow other people to
We're gonna do anger. I have November 4th. Well, I think I'd written parts of it and then I resurfaced
there is
parts of
room at
it.
the table for everybody
So it's a mix.
makes room for other people.
So let's not lose. We just had a grasp on that emotion. Let's not lose that grasp. So even as we're getting technical here with paper and pens, I want us to go back.
Rivka, there is room at the table. Bring your chair. You're fine over there.
Go back. Don't lose it. Don't lose the anger. Don't lose your anger. So, friends, we're going to go back to it. Every emotion is here for us to use in our mission. We are bred to be
Malkasari, bring a chair to the
shameful
table.
and have shame when we have anger and express anger. But I want to drop that right now. I'm asking this of myself. And I'm asking it of all of us because I know we're all these beautiful women who are loving, and I know that. But anger is needed right now.
Is it okay if we don't like get angry right now if we don't want to? Or do we
I'm
need to
gonna
access
push
our
you.
anger?
I'm gonna push you.
You-
We're gonna go to the other ones after this. You'll get
Oh.
the other emotions.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Oh, right now I want us to experience anger. I want us to experience anger.
Okay,
want
so
us to experience
a
anger.
helpful thing might be to close your eyes and breathe
I'll do
and
that.
actually remember an angry moment that you had, just to bring it up in you, to remember
Right.
what it feels like. Because I'm really not feeling angry right now,
Okay.
but I totally get you.
I'm
But I'm gonna need to do this exercise on
I know.
myself, so I invite you if you need to.
I will
Also.
I'll lead us. Let's close
Okay.
our eyes and F you!
Or remember an angry moment that you had.
Don't shame me. Hamas, how dare you! F you! How dare you kill our children and our families and burn them and say that we're the ones creating genocide? How dare you? That was the meditation. Please write. The music is part of it. Just metabolize it all. It's okay. Use it. Okay, just one more minute and then we're going to keep moving. Okay. Wrapping it up. So usually we can look at emotions like a volcano. The top expressive, explosive one is usually anger when we get incredibly triggered. Explodes as anger. And anger's nice because it's sort of a distraction from just how incredibly heartbroken we are and how incredibly scared we are. So when I'm angry, I can feel strong and it's less scary. It's less vulnerable. So anger serves a very important purpose, but underneath it are also very important vulnerable feelings. So usually the next layer down is sadness. Sadness, and the anger stays on top and tries to protect us, because what happens if you get attacked and you just sit there very sad? Well, it's too vulnerable. So, but when we feel stronger, then we can start to access the sadness, and we need to. Because if we don't, well, that's not going to be healthy. So another wonderful thing about poetry is it allows us to take these emotions and these reactions, especially when we have real trauma, and express it and get it out. Press it out. And if we don't do that, that's not going to be healthy for our system either. We don't want to just stay in the anger and run our adrenals, we have to go in and feel. And it's great to write out of sadness too. I mean, how many times you sat with your journal and that's just been your outlet? So maybe let's feel into, just like Yael was saying, like we can notice times when we feel the anger, noticing, if you think back about this last 9-month journey that we've been on, the sadness that has been here, the preciousness of the sadness and the loss and the mourning. And that's where we're going to go next. The pittance of admission. This house of Israel is in mourning. We sit upon the floor and weep. The mirrors are black, our robes are slashed, leatherless are our feet. Our clan is clad in ash and sack, a dirge between our bones. A wail of anguish unabated rises from this home. The pittance of admission here is expression of lament, authentic, rasp and risen, mangled and intense. Here the graves are multiple and flanked with stacking stones, which could perhaps be launched at enemies, but sit instead in memory of what is gone. Our weaponry is our weeping. Our protection is our prayer. Our strength is born when we gather to mourn, made siblings by shared despair. And in lamentation lies our comfort. And in this meeting, our home is built, founded firm on the raw resilience of the families of the killed. But hear this, our love is mightier than our anger. For we are a nation of mothers and fathers and priests. We build houses out of war stones and change cemeteries into sanctuaries with our songs of hope. A knock upon the lintel lets in the Shiva guests. God shuffles in amongst them and bends to offer his condolences. And in the madness of the mourning and the anguish so immense, a dwelling is suddenly erected, regal, resplendent, and a sacred space is made amidst the family who endures such loss and grief. And our household stands strong amidst the weeping throng, and God's presence refuses to leave. Our household stands strong amidst the weeping throng, and God's presence refuses to leave. So feel into the sadness right now, maybe thinking of a moment when it was really strong for you, noticing how you feel it right now, and letting that faucet turn on and noticing and allowing for whatever to come through to come through. This is the sadness piece. Sadness piece. Feel sad, right? Sad. I was thinking we'd all just at the end choose the one we want to do best. You really want to share that? Okay, let's be democratic. Raise your hand if you want to first have people share their anger pieces versus at the end choosing one to choose to share. Raise your hand for first, let's share the anger pieces. Not 3, not 4. Raise your hand for waiting till the end. Okay, you've been outvoted. I'm sorry. Raise your hand if it doesn't matter. Okay, everybody who says it doesn't matter, choose one. We're gonna do this again. Raise your hand if you wanna go ahead and share the anger pieces. Okay, is anybody counting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not 5. That's okay. Raise your hand if you want to wait until the end. Oh, okay. Let's share the anger. Okay, fine. We'll share the anger. Whoever is feeling moved.
I'm voting for Mayan.
I know, Mayan. Let's hear.
This was just like when I was going out to my mom. So, what's anger? Anger is like anger is fear and sadness. Anger is what comes in when it still feels like there's no place, no space for empathy. Anger is the cover up the mask, not just to hide the scars, but to protect them.
Oh my God. Mayan. That's so beautiful. Short is good. Short is preferred. Anger is the mask.
To protect the scars. It's right.
Because anger is like
You want to keep
whenever
it there.
there's anger, it's always what's covering sadness or fear. And so usually it's like you shouldn't hide, like you shouldn't cover it up. And in some places where like you don't have that space for like some people like just benefit to be that mask just to cover it up.
Actually, Rav Kook on anger says very much the same thing. Anger is a frustrated feeling not being expressed. Something there is bottled up, and it just somehow lets off steam and it comes out in anger, but it's not because you're angry, because there's something there that needs to be expressed.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
You who sat at our Shabbos table, we sang together, peace be upon you. Come in peace, go in peace. We swayed by the brass candlesticks, inhaling the bread and garlic. How can you? How could you say such lies about our people? How can you believe the enemy over your own flesh and blood? How can their lies carry such authenticity? I can't bear to have you at my table again. No, no. And then the words to my friend, quoting the Rebbe. Let me know, she says, how you defeat his negativity with love, his thoughts with truth. You can dispel the darkness with light. Oh my gosh, friend, you've given me a path to walk, a flame of hope to light it. Please, God, let him sit at our Shabbos table again.
Oh, I love that. That switch around. That's true. That's true. Sorry.
Yeah, we got it. Totally got the image.
That's often a wonderful thing that happens when you're writing a poem is when something comes through and it has its own transformation in the process of the writing, that then a new outcome comes out the other side at the end. So it's like, and then it's just right there at the end. Those quick turn endings are really strong. Thank you. Yes.
Share.
What's your name?
Tina. Is that or it's just like one?
It's recorded on our Zoom, so whoever registers is going to get the
It's just for
recording.
people who
And
register.
there's only
for the
3 people
course.
there, and it's like no one else. It's not going anywhere.
Like first time I'm sharing. Give it a try.
Mazel tov. First I'm sharing the piano.
Anyone can reach that. They call it an illusion. Illusion. These things that they're doing through my lens, it makes no sense. As hard as I try to the naked eye, the supernatural I cannot spy. There's a divine illustrator and all-powerful creator. It's part of our story, the victim, the captor, and we are all stuck on a chapter, filled with fire and flames, but I think they are the same. There's no fire in God or water, and no flame in God's only daughter. I don't think that there are opposing forces. I might have my sources, but I suspect it's a lack of self-respect, blame other for our hatred, the anger, it's so secret.
Ooh,
Love the rhythm. Yeah, you really are like, I'm gonna do the rhyming thing. I'm gonna make it happen. Great. Beautiful. Yeah. What's your name? Yeah, everybody say your name when you read. Great. Are there other angry people in the room? You guys remember the movie Angry Birds? Angry Birds. Oh, this is important. This is important source text here. Angry Birds is, the movie goes that all these birds lived on this island and they had beautiful lives and they were wonderful creative people and they were loving, and there was one guy who was angry all the time and everybody hated him and he felt like such a reject, and he was just like, he's just grumpy, very grumpy, and he like had to go to anger management classes and he was an outcast until the evil pigs came and attacked the island of birds and stole all their bird eggs, their babies, which they loved more than anything, and they took them. We watched this so many times. And they stole all the babies, and so it was up to this one outcast grumpy bird to be like, you guys, get angry, this is not okay. They came and took your baby eggs, and he coalesced the entire nation of nice birds and turned them into angry birds, and they went and they attacked the mean pigs and got their baby bird nest eggs back. And
Happy ending thanks to anger.
happy ending thanks to anger.
Okay.
It's really, people are afraid of anger, and it's very much downplayed in our world, and it's a problem.
And it happens again and again. Same thing.
Right, right.
Just like us, though. It's just
Right.
repeating history and can't do, and
Amen.
that's what they're doing.
They're repeating history. Okay.
There's so many places where anger has toned and changed and it can't be expressed fully. How, like, in writing you can, but you can't express your anger. So, I mean, I feel like it's my whole life doing my anger, like with my
Right.
children, being even killed and
Right.
being, not reactive. I feel like it's my entire life.
Right.
That's how it comes. So I don't feel like we can express ourselves in a lot of situations easily,
Yeah.
and that's the problem.
Well, we have
Right.
to. There's holy anger, and then there's the anger that comes from the place of tuma and klipa, and we just have to learn to not bring the guilt of the bad anger into the holy anger. There is a place for holy anger, and it's a limud. It's correct not to lash out at your kids in anger. It's
Right.
just correct. It's destructive. But anger itself is just an energy. It's a fire. It's connected to fire, and it's ascendant. So there's a gaiva there. It's like, how dare you? Is very much in the angry person. But you have to know to place it in the holy places and leave it out. And it's an avoda. It's a learning.
Some people it's natural.
Yeah. Some people are fire people. Yeah.
So this is obviously everything. Obviously, you're right. We don't want to be expressing our anger towards our children in that way. And it's about using it in the proper way.
But if you don't, sometimes then sometimes when you're, let's say, a mom, then you have to show anger sometimes to understand
What's appropriate.
Like sometimes
Yeah.
probably
But then the
Okay.
mommy has to pretend she's angry, not really be angry. That's what.
Okay, so let's go back.
I just want to say it's very important to know that we're usually like shame anger into this very bad midah that we're not supposed to have. But there's no mitzvah that says thou shalt not be angry. There's no mitzvah because sometimes we have to be angry. And it's an energy that we just have to know when to use appropriately. What?
How to use it. It's like
And it's how to use it. It's
and it's like it's vitality.
Yes,
could be it's constructive and it's destructive. What? When in appropriate ways and measures and all kinds of things. Yep. Not always when it's inappropriately used. When your ego is stuck in it, when your ego it's all about how dare you not honor me and not do as I say, then it's avodah zarah, you being the object of your idol worship.
Why I wanted to bring it up today is because in poetry we want to access all of our emotions, and we need and give them outlets and give them expression, and it fuels our poetry to be better when we do that. When poems are full of energy and emotion, then they are better poems. So we don't want to be afraid of our emotions. We want to embrace them and uplift them and use them all for the good.
So back to sad.
Right. So I think we can even take sad further. If you go down the volcano, there's the anger at the top, and then there's the fear, and then there's the sadness. And then at the real root of it all is, of course, what? At the root of it all is love. Why am I so angry? Because I love my people that got murdered. Why am I so sad? Because I'm sad about the loss of my beloveds.
why are you mad at your kids? Because you love them.
Oh, that's right. Well, that's true. I love my kids, and so today I got a little angry, out of love. Yes, at the root of all of it, my husband has a really great example where he talks about he was crossing the street with our youngest child, and a car, and and a car came down and like didn't see the light, and like it was very scary, very dangerous. And he yells at the driver of the car, and he like bangs on the car, terrifying our youngest child. And they got to the other side of the street, and my son was like, Abba, why were you so angry? And he said, well, I was trying to keep you safe. He said, but you made me scared. And he said, right, that's true. My goal was that you shouldn't be scared. My goal was that you should be safe. But I did it in a way that, created scariness. So, but any of the things that we do usually will have deep, deep roots in a positive place. That's why we're doing them. We don't always give proper expression to them. And, next time he'll, utilize his anger differently so it doesn't scare the kid. But so any of the sadness and the anger and these things that we have, if we can trace down the root system all the way to the real bedrock, which is the love, then that is going to be an even greater treasure to be drawing forth from when we're doing our writing and when we're doing our living, is to be able to draw from that deep place. So I think that's where I want to take us next, and then we'll share, and then I think we'll be done for the night. Is really anchoring into this bedrock place of our love for for Israel, our love for God, our love for our families, our love for the world. Right? We're supposed to be this priestly nation. We are a priestly nation. That is God's mission for us, is to be a nation of priests, and the priests are supposed to act out of love. So how do we as a people manage our anger and our need to fight and all of our feelings and our broken hearts within a context of, I am here to serve the world, and I'm a priest for the world, and somehow through this war and these hardships, this is our priestly service, is to be able to metabolize all that's going on for us and all the hardships and even the world hating us, and somehow come through it with a sense of, I am doing all of this in service to the world and to God. So that's really our overarching goal. And that's what I guess we'll skip over the sadness piece, and go into this area next for writing. And I'll share with you another piece here, where for me, I felt like as I was processing through the war over the past 9 months, the more that I could anchor into that place of priestly service, the better I was doing, the healthier I felt, and the better I behaved. And priests use knives, and priests slaughter. But it's within the context of a priestly service, to a korban, to bring close to Hashem. If I should die, I want them to say that I died on the front lines of the fight of good against evil, that I spent my days knee-deep in human decency, deciphering the moral dilemma of when to act with compassion and when to act with judgment, and that I have held the proper balance between. I want them to say that though the world did not understand it, I held strong anyway to a higher moral code, that I upheld the Torah even though it was often hard as nails and hailed travails and cost me my very life, that I was willing to die to sanctify this troubled world, that I worked in accord with the word of the Lord, with ancient wisdom, the promise of prophets, the teachings of elders, and the calling of my very soul, that I held a Kaddish with my bones, and it was an honor and a joy to call this land my home. So let's close eyes here and breathe into this sense of the bedrock of all of this emotion that we carry and that gets triggered and that gets used and that we swim in, feeling down now into the bedrock of a sense of love, of a sense of purpose, of priestly calling, and that a knowing that this is God's training grounds for our service as a people, God is training us through this war and these hardships. God is sculpting us to be the best priests that we can be, and just anchoring in to that cord and that root within you right now, knowing that you are doing it. Thinking of all the ways, maybe evoking images of yourself as you feel like you are doing your priestly service. What does that look like for you? How are you manifesting that? How have you manifested that already? And how do you intend to continue to manifest that? What does that look like? What does that feel like and sound like? Really dressing yourself in that garb of service. And right now, for the next however many minutes, that service is going to look like you writing something. That service is going to look like you somehow giving some expression on a piece of paper. And when you're ready, you can begin.
כל אדם לראות מעלת חברה ולא חסרונה, בעיניים לראות הטוב ובחטא שנתת בעולם. שאדון לקו שמות את עצמי ואת חברה, כשאינו בסדר, שפר אותה, שאוהב, אוהב כל חיי.
Two more minutes. Start to wrap it up.
סוף כל יום מוביל שקט עולם ששוקעת השם טוב לי עבודה בחדשות בעיניים עצומות בחדשות צוף גדול צפון ככה אני מבקר לשמור עלינו פשוטים בית בישראל
So I'd love to go around and give everyone a chance to share something. You can choose what?
I'm not sure. Actually, I'll share the first one. It's very, very short. Mizmor Todah said by too many families bearing their sons. Ad matai. That was it.
What do you mean Mizmor Torah? I mean,
What?
you said Mizmor
Mizmor Todah because they're like you go to these services and their siblings are bearing their siblings and they're singing Mizmor Todah. And they're singing these and they're coming with they're doing it with such heart. It's painful. It's painful. Like these holy neshamas. We don't know cheshbonot shamayim. We don't know. Like we don't question God, but it's painful to see.
I might say your name also.
It's a mix.
Whatever comes out, you can say anything you want.
Okay. So I'm Yadida Marian. Just share a little bit. You broke my dreams, and I will rebuild. You betrayed my trust, and I began to trust the core more. You took my hope, so I began to give more of that to others. You smashed my dreams, so I vowed I'd help others achieve theirs. God, hold us in an embrace, never faltered, just held, so we can help you.
That was from the second one?
Yeah, I was all over the place much.
There's too much to say. Say, oh my God, go on. Yeah.
Oh.
You want the water?
Okay.
So would you mind if I told a quick story rather than, because that's what's in my heart. So when I was 15, I was a counselor in a day camp. And I had the 5-year-olds. I had 12 5-year-olds. And it was Tisha B'Av. And what do you do with 12 5-year-olds on Tisha B'Av? So I sat down. We all sat down. And I took them to a destroyed Yerushalayim. And I painted it. There's burning buildings here, and there's dead bodies here, and there's soldiers everywhere, and everybody is terrified, and people are running here and then back, and there's blood, and there's and what do you see? And they started participating. Oh, and there's a dead dog, and there's a and they just painted the whole picture of utter devastation. And I said, and now what? And so some of the boys said, we'll steal their weapons and we'll fight them. And others said, no, there are too many of them. We can't do that. We'll run. And others said, no, where are we going to? There's nowhere to run. And by now, so many of them are crying. And a couple are saying, I want to go home. And others are saying, there's no home. There's no more home. I want more home. Mommy is dead. I mean, they were really there. Yes. And I began to get scared. I thought, oh my gosh, how are we? This was like an hour and a half now. How are we going to wrap this? And I kept saying, so now what? Now what? Now what? And they were all crying and comforting each other. And they said, we need to hold hands. Yes, so they all held hands and they're all crying. And then a couple of them said, and we need to just sit on the ground. So they all sat on the ground holding hands in a circle. And I said, now what? This is now more than an hour and a half. And they said, we need to sing songs. I said, what kind of songs? They said, we need to sing happy songs. Songs about what? Happy songs to God, they said. And that's what we did for the next half hour. We sang happy songs to God. And then it was okay. We were there and we had lunch. And that was Tisha B'Av for 5-year-olds. Our children know, they know. We know because we all have children in our hearts, right? Mm.
I'm risky. And this is the anger poem. Okay. Brothers and sons lost in the sea of bombs. I'll try. Brothers and sons lost in the sea of bombs. Air slick with sweat and fear. Husbands and nephews served up as a sacrifice. Willingly, willfully, to put bodies of flesh and bone between the enemy and their beloved. God, I am angry at the loss of mother, of father, of sister, of brother, of wife, of husband, of baby, of toddler. The rest feels irrelevant to me. And you turn the wheel of time to bring forth what needs to be brought forth. The enemy morphs and fades their colors and shouts, layer one over the other. Hail Hitler, Allah Akbar. To me, their lies don't deserve a spare glance, a single thought. I shake them off like forgotten crumbs off my Shabbos tablecloth. Standing outside on my marpeset, the crumbs disappear over the horizon of Yerushalayim, as they soon will. But God, I am angry for the loss, the way you allowed them to extinguish each precious light from our home.
Oh, you're good.
This is anger then and now. My anger for so many years was hidden. I felt helpless for a long time at the anger of others. It triggered a helpless little girl. But I am no longer that helpless little girl. I have birthed many children. I have buried. My word is balance. That is how I tried to live my life, physically and emotionally. But suddenly, there is no place for balance. There is no place for a free Palestine. Ribonut is the only way. We Jewish women, we are brave. We are fighting the home front battles. I am strong. I am no longer helpless. And I am angry.
Oh my God. Okay, video in front of my face. My name is Daniela. I don't know. I guess I could share in the second round. Chaya, what you were saying about like love being underneath. I found myself writing like to know my goodness and to know everyone's goodness. Like our people's goodness. And to witness and to see and to love and to really enter this space where Hashem is embracing us. And to really feel Hashem's embrace. Like you said, embrace. It's yeah. And from that place, like to be alive, like to be in existence. From that holding. I can't even read my writing, but hopefully at home I'll be able to say.
Good.
This is being a bond. You're for a treat. You're for a treat. Whatever's gonna come out of her mouth. On your treat.
First, I just want to say hi.
Hi, Gina.
So nice to receive this. Wow, it's like usually I teach poetry myself, so I don't get to like just sit and receive, but I don't really have the word for it, but it feels really nourishing, and thank you so much. Normally I just say poems and I don't write them down, so this was a little old but new for me. So I'll see what I wrote. So the one that I chose to write on was about us doing service in our holiness. And what came through was, dear Lord, I hope I can read my handwriting. Okay. No, I think I'm okay with this light. Thank you though. Holy service, majestically being with this, getting chewed up and finding divinity in the pit. The locust of lush blossom and truth, going limp and whimpering, I don't know what to do. Big, bounding, alivening waves, different faces, but the message is the same. God, this collective shame, impossible ire, riding the crest and wave of this spire, which has been a nation under straits more dire, more dicey and covered in dust, harassed by crowds, falling prey to their lust. And yet the mouth of the infinite opens and closes again. And look, he's spoken words that remind us he's our true friend. Don't abandon the yoke and walk on the shells. Just listen to the vibrating voice, as sometimes we feel like we're in the depths of hell and in its heights, and yet we come out with that capacity to fight. And that's what ignites and sets us right and gives us bravery in spite and because of everything that's coming down from above. And that's all it's going to be.
That last part was not written? And that
No,
was-
the first part was written and then the last part was freestyled. Yeah.
I just wrote, I'm not really angry, as I believe everything is from Hashem, and they are just messengers. I'm only get angry when I get woken up on a personal level.
That's good.
That's true. Not personal too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to say something?
Yeah, for sure.
Key phrase I wrote was that life in Israel has put me in the seat of sadness of my childhood. And I did not expect so much trigger living in Israel. I lost my father in a violent way. And everything that happens every day puts me in that seat of sadness of my childhood. And I did not expect to be so turning the stones. I mean, my last sentence was that the unturned stones of grief are maybe the stones I lay on the grave.
Wow. Wow, that's so powerful. Wow. Wow.
Being brought back to material and
Wow. Okay, so this is the first one. I have no shame. My anger is real. My anger is hot. That's not the issue. I can spew, I can scream, but my soul cries. It weeps, feels helpless, calling out to Hashem. Help, bring them home. Enough. Watching the faces of our holy people, knowing the unknowable. How can this be?
Are we asleep? Please don't wake us up like this way. Begging to you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He now has no legs. They now have no father. A grave instead of a chuppah. Help us, guide us, save us. We are your children. Help.
I don't think I'm going to share my poem because I take a long time writing my poems. They're not like guys. I don't think I'm going to share my writing. I take a long time when I write poems, unlike Chaya, who can just like belt them out and they're awesome. It's not quite like that for me, but one of the images I had was a paint tube that's squeezed to get the color out, or a toothpaste tube that's squeezed to get the cleansing liquid out.
Sure. Didn't succeed today. Don't think it's a form. Okay, fine. But it's like cookie dough. It's not really cookie. So you're eating something quite raw.
Yeah,
Some people are into the
some
dough.
people like cookie
They like the
dough.
batter.
Don't be afraid of anger. Anger hides power and strength. Anger's protective door should open up before all that's pure, beautiful, and holy, and to reject all that goes to destroy what's good and what's precious. Flaming anger, like angelic host, protects the Gan Eden road. Anger is love afraid to be lost.
Wow. Anger is love,
Afraid to be lost. I didn't try. This line is from a shir.
Right. Beautiful. Thank you. My goodness. Thank you all so much. And for everybody who didn't share, also just being here is sharing as well. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Rivka. Thank you, Yael, for creating this.
Logistics. This is the cup for your donations of whatever you want to help us keep doing what we're doing. So you can.
So I'd love to end by singing Matovu together, y'all. Let's do it. It's an oldie and a goodie, and we could, if anybody knows how to do the rounds, and we can do that too. Matovu. Oh, keep the tune going. So I'll try to do a little freestyle as we do this tune. Keep it coming. Oh, thank you, Hashem, for bringing us to the Holy Land, for bringing us around this table, expanding over the shore and beyond to Judean hills, blowing our mind, y'all. Everybody come on, we can get the energy here to give us something near to prophecy. Everybody come and sing with me. Could this be a God in a different season? I don't know, but it's the way that we go when we flow, way that we flow, way that we flow, way that we flow, way that flow, way that we flow. Ways that we flow, ways that we flow. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, you freestyle because I dropped it. Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot my books. I was supposed to bring my books. I didn't bring them.
My heart said
Oh,
By the way,
thank
this is
you.
your last class for this term. We're picking up in Elul.
Rosh
Rosh Chodesh Elul is beginning a new term, and Chaya Lester is now officially on staff with Shevach Torah and I, and she's going to be continuing with us, and we're not letting you go. But it's still going to be Sundays at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
If other people want a different time, because that's when you're most available, if more people then we're flexible if you want to have sessions with us. Right now it's set for Sundays at 10 o'clock. If that doesn't work for you, talk to us. We might make it work for you.
I totally forgot to bring my books. I have books at my house at 43 Beersheba Street. You can come. And I'm on Facebook, right? Right. You should be friends on Facebook because I put things on Instagram. But
okay, so we're gonna sing some more and hear Bina.
Forgot. Love you.
Okay.
Love you. Love you. Bye.
But you can just freestyle anyway. But anyway.
So whoever needs to go can go.
Yeah.
Whoever wants to stay and freestyle a little bit, then we're gonna see if the energy can congeal a little bit around that. Bye. Bless you. Thank you for coming.
Nice to meet you, Rifki.
Bye. Love you.
All right.
Should I end this? Bye.
Yeah, you could end this.